Ladies and gentlemen, Trump will be immune from prosecution for performing a speech. The Supreme Court will rule that he is immune from any prosecution pertaining to a speech, therefore completely obliterating the special counsel case against him. Okay, he did not foment or work to overthrow the country. He didn't engage in a rebellion. So Slate magazine right here on the screen here. The Supreme Court will take Trump's Colorado ballot disqualification. Then you have the Daily Beast. Federal Bureau of Investigation found no evidence Trump or allies organized a rebellion. Okay, that was also the headline of the Associated Press and Reuters and other publications that looked in January of 21 and found no evidence, zero evidence that Trump tried to foment or rebel against the country. Okay? What media does is lie by omission. They show vandals and people committing crimes, and they do not show people being let into buildings very peacefully with doors open. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. To read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications, go to hagoodman.com. Patreon is below. Super thanks is below. Trump is immune as president from any prosecution for a speech. Okay? Vox, in big victory for Trump, the Supreme Court tells Jack Smith to go away. Trump wants to run out the clock on his criminal trials because when he regains the Oval Office, they will all go away. His DOJ will either end special counsels like this one, or any conviction will be overturned by the Supreme Court because it's all complete nonsense. In this case, like the Daily Beast, like Vox, and like others have, these are all left-leaning publications, like others have found, there is no evidence that Trump tried to engage in a rebellion. Simply panning to and simply showing video on MSNBC and CNN of people committing crimes, by the way, blatantly ignoring billions in property damage and vandalism that summer. And also the targeting of federal buildings and government buildings. And left-leaning protesters and demonstrators trying to prevent government proceedings from taking place all the time, even the past couple of years in different state houses. But Trump is immune as president. He has presidential immunity for a speech that used the words, where he used the words peaceful and patriotic. He did not call for anyone to commit any criminal activity. This is a fact. If a person looks at what Trump did and says, oh, he tried to rebel against the country, he deliberately tried to impede a government procession or proceeding, they are not looking at the facts. They're either lying by omission or they suffer from such a strong case of derangement, Trump derangement syndrome. It's unbelievable. The Supreme Court did not view Trump to have committed a crime in January. That's why the special counsel, that's why they didn't expedite the special counsel. It has nothing to do with the Supreme Court wanting a lower court to rule on it. It has nothing to do with that. What Jack Smith wanted to find out is, will the Supreme Court allow a president to go to prison? Will the Supreme Court allow a president to be convicted and go to prison for the crimes within that indictment, which stated that he was no longer president because he performed a speech? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the argument in every one of these criminal cases is absurd leaps of logic, but in this one, hit subscribe to this channel, share this everywhere. I've read the indictments. The indictments, so you don't have to, but the indictments for the D.C. special counsel states that he was not acting as a president because he was performing a speech to his constituents. This is, of course, nonsense. Everything a Democrat or Republican does in the Oval Office is partisan. Everything. And they do so in a partisan manner for what they feel is the good of the country. That's why we have a republic and a democratic system where we can choose different foreign policy, different economic policy every 4 years. That's why it's so stupid when Democrats say, well, why did Trump change his foreign policy towards the Putin? Because he's a different president from President Obama, who, by the way, was the dove as opposed to the hawk that Bush and McCain were. You choose a different foreign policy when you choose a different president, genius. That's why. Why was he so nice to the Kremlin? He wasn't. It was Clinton's, President Obama, who did not veto the sale of a huge portion of U.S. uranium capacity, eventually making its way to the Kremlin. That is according to the New York Times and even Snopes. In defense of Hillary Clinton, they said, well, only President Obama could have vetoed the sale. Well, why didn't he? Is there something? Did intelligence find some kind of ties, nefarious ties? And if intelligence did, they then, of course, would no longer appeal to authority. So Democrats appeal to authority when individuals in authority agree with them. They say, look at these organizations, and they list them that agree with us on this policy or that policy. But if they didn't agree with you, you would then say the organizations were infiltrated by Trumpers. And they would have no legitimacy. Just like this article right here in The Guardian. This is hilarious. Will Trump provoke a crisis of legitimacy? No. The Supreme Court, when they back Trump, will be very legitimate. Just not in the eyes of the people who don't get the political outcome they wanted. So Democrats, what they do is they say Trump, he's never happy when he doesn't win, or they're speaking about themselves. They never got over. They wrote books. What happened? They accused Trump of being a Kremlin operative. So he's immune. Okay, Trump is immune. He has presidential immunity. They are not able to convict Trump for a speech. Now they'll probably convict him in D.C., and it'll be overturned. Because a speech is not enough. A speech is not enough for Trump to be accused of a crime. There would have to be some type of evidence that the Federal Bureau of Investigation finds. But they didn't find any evidence. So I'm going to speak very slowly and deliberately for the morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats who think that Trump tried to foment a rebellion because news cameras only focus at MSNBC and CNN on one side of that building and not the doors open and people just strolling into the building as law enforcement officials open the door. Okay? The Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with every other intelligence agency, has a budget. They all have a budget of over $100 billion by one estimate. Okay. They never found that he was an operative of any other country. Yet, of course, you had people who are now fired from these agencies say that Trump, they really thought that Trump was a spy. Okay. That, of course, was complete nonsense. There is no evidence, nor was there ever any information or emails or money trail or evidence or communication or anything that showed that Trump organized a rebellion. It was a complete fantasy of the morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats. Because you cannot prove that he fomented any type of rebellion and that he had anything to do with the people who engaged in criminal conduct, he never told them to do that, nor did he communicate with them. The Supreme Court told Jack Smith, we're not going to rule on this because he didn't commit a crime with a speech. You're going to have to prove that he committed a crime other than a speech, which he's able to perform as a president, thus presidential immunity? Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. And Merry Christmas and God bless you all. Happy New Year. Thank you. Hit subscribe to this channel. We're ramping it up in January, everybody. Tell your friends about this channel. Hit subscribe. We'll have a lot of live streams in January and all through November of 24. Ladies and gentlemen, November of 24 will be the best live stream in the history of mankind on this channel. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.